Hey guys, Mr. T here for another ranking video. Let's go ahead and dive in. So I kind of like these ranking videos because I have a lot of opinions that can be very interesting. And for those of you who know me, you know. So I figured let's do another ranking video that's not Pokemon. And I thought, okay, well let's go ahead and do some Assassin's Creed. So for those of you who don't know, a new Assassin's Creed came out a couple months ago, and it honestly was a really good one. The thing I find funny with it is it takes place in Japan, and there's a black assassin, or samurai, I should say, and it's funny because people are losing their minds over it, and I'm like, guys, this is the first assassin in the series actually based on a real person. Like, it's actually based on a real black samurai from that time period. Like, we have records and everything. So I just find it so funny how people pick and choose what to be mad over. But again, that got me thinking. I just 100%ed it, got my platinum trophy on it a couple weeks ago, and I started thinking, what do I want to rank? And Assassin's Creed is one of my more favorite series out there, so let's go ahead and do it. So the rules for this are simple. I am only ranking the main line Assassin's Creed games. So I'm not ranking like those standalone DLCs. I'm not ranking like the PSP games or the DS games or any of those side games. I'm only ranking the 14 main storyline games. That's all I'm ranking for this. So let's go ahead and dive in. So these first two on my list, which are number 14 and 13, these are the only games on this list that are actually bad. So it's not that they're low because the other games are just better. These two suck. And those are the only Assassin's Creed games that actually suck, that I go out of my way to not replay them. And my dead last one is Mirage. This game came off the foothills, or the foottails of Odyssey, Origins, and Valhalla. Okay? Not in that particular order. But Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla were amazing games, and you're going to see that from my ranking. And they added some features, and there were some features in gameplay mechanics I was like, I'm not too fan of. But then Mirage comes out, and I had such high hopes for it. The storyline, don't get me wrong, the storyline isn't bad. I still read up on the story, but the gameplay sucked. The thing that really ticks me off about a lot of these new Assassin's Creed games, and the newer ones, especially like Valhalla and stuff, they let you change the feature and edit it. Mirage didn't. If I'm shoving a blade down your throat, you should be dead. And then it's like in Mirage, for example, even when you have your blade upgraded fully, there were still enemies, and I'm not talking like bosses, or like, outpost, elites or whatever. There were some regular enemies you still couldn't kill instantly with an assassination. I'm sorry, but if a blade is being shoved into your throat, you're either dead or on the ground dying. So that's one of the things about these more recent Assassin's Creed games I'm not a fan of, because it's like, they say, it's for the storyline. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not for the storyline. If anything, it's the opposite. It's taking away from the story, because the whole point of the Assassin's Creed games has always been sneak, stealth, one-hit kills, and you get out of there. And Mirage, again, the thing about Mirage that I hated the most, and there were a lot of things and features and mechanics that I didn't like that made it dead last, but I hated how they kept the feature of you couldn't assassinate in one-shot kills, which completely defeats the purpose of the entire Assassin's Creed franchise, but they didn't even give you the option to take it off. Like Valhalla and Shadows and Odyssey, well, not Odyssey, but Valhalla and Shadows, they had the same feature, and they both allowed you to take it off, so you could still instant kill or one-shot kill, or however you want to say it, for assassinations. Mirage didn't do that, and that was just one of the many reasons I didn't like it. Again, the storyline was great, and Baghdad during that time period was one of the epicenters of the cultural world. There was a lot of gameplay mechanics that made it suck. My next one, or my number 13, is Unity. This game sucked. There was too much in it. They muddled it down with too much online focus. This was during the era where everything had to be online. Like, even single player games, they had to throw something online. And this was the game where Ubisoft really played into the online aspect, and they focused more on the online than the actual making a good game. I mean, you would think the French Revolution would be a fun time period to explore, and the game just fell flat. The mechanics sucked, the storyline was mid at best, especially during one of the more fascinating time periods of history, and the world was just so crammed with stuff, especially online stuff, it muddled it all the way down, and I just never liked Unity. Unity was actually the game that started to put me off of the Assassin's Creed franchise, and then Origins finally brought me, Origins really brought me back in. So yeah, Unity is just I just don't like it in general. Now, from this point on, all the other Assassin's Creed games aren't bad. I like them. It just, some of them are more average than others. So for my number 12, I got Syndicate. Syndicate was fun. I almost didn't play it because it came out right around the time of Unity, and I almost was kind of like, oh, I don't want to bother with this game. But then I decided to pick it up, and I did like it. It was a fun game. I liked the whole swapping back and forth between the two siblings. That was fun. The only thing I don't like about that theory, especially like in Valhalla and stuff, is the whole premise behind this is you are reliving the memories of an ancestor. But the problem with that is you have to have those memories through your genetic code passed down to you. So if I'm the descendant of the sister, and I'm not gonna lie, I completely forgot their names. I think the girl's name is Eve or something like that, and I can't remember what the guy's name is. But like if I'm the great grandson of the sister, that means I don't have the genetic memories of her older brother. So how am I playing or living through his eyes? So that's the thing. Like, I don't mind the brother sister male female duo mechanic, but I don't think you should be able to swap between them, because that kind of defeats the storyline idea of I am seeing these memories because that is my ancestor. So that's the thing about that I kind of didn't like, and I wasn't a huge fan of at the time. But the gameplay was still kind of fun. It was just a little bit of to me to be higher on this list. Right? Now, my number 11 is Rogue. Rogue was a fun game. It felt more like a side game than anything. It came out around the time of Assassin's Creed 3 and Black Flag, so they started to like tease Black Flag stuff, but it was still very much an old game. They didn't really push the boundaries with it. And again, because of when it came out and the storyline, it almost felt like a DLC than anything. I did like some of the water mechanics, and I liked some of the mechanics for the boat and stuff like that, but it just, because it came out between 3 and Black Flag, it really wasn't pushing any boundaries or making any, waves on my list. You get it? Waves because of the ship. All right. Now, my number 10, getting into the top 10, is Revelations. Now, of all the Assassin's Creed story arcs, Ezio is my favorite. I don't know any true Assassin's Creed fan that doesn't put Ezio first. And maybe one of my next ranking videos, I'll rank the assassins themselves. Ezio is Assassin's Creed. Sorry, Altair. Sorry, Bayek. Sorry, all the others and stuff. I know most of their names. I just don't want to start listing them all off. Sorry, Connor and all them. But Ezio is Assassin's Creed. Like, he is what made the franchise great. Altair started it, and that's great. Ezio made it an icon in the gaming universe. So Revelations isn't low because it's bad. I just felt that they had all this potential, and it just felt like a reskinned Brotherhood. The things that Brotherhood did great, Revelations kind of just left the same. They didn't really push the boundaries on those. And then they added some features that weren't bad, but it's like you have Brotherhood, which is considered one of the greatest Assassin's Creed games of all time, and you kind of just copied it. Oh, and again, it's almost like Rogue. It almost, not quite, but it almost felt like a DLC than an actual brand new game. Again, it was still super fun. I loved Constantinople, or at the time Istanbul. That's when around the time things were changing and all that. I loved the premise, the storyline, all that. It just felt too much as a DLC than an actual game in its own right. Now, for my number 9, is the first Assassin's Creed game. Again, I loved this game. The intro of Desmond, the whole idea of the Animus, the whole idea of your ancestors' memories are built into your genetic code. That's how you're able to relive and see their memories. I loved the whole premise. The game doesn't hold up well. Like, I went back and replayed the remastered version of it with updated graphics, and it just doesn't hold up well. Again, it's a great game, and I take into account when it was created. I understand it was boundary pushing for the time, but there were some things that kind of fell flat with it. That's why it kind of got a little lower on the list. Still a great game, though. Not bad in any way. It's just there's other Assassin's Creed games that are better. Now, this next game, a lot of people are going to think that it should be a lot higher on my list because, well, it's the only game that truly takes place in the United States, but there's a lot reason for why it's so low, and that's Assassin's Creed 3. The storyline was amazing. I loved it. Being able to be an American soldier whooping the British in the 1770s, loved it. That alone almost made me put it higher. The reason that I put Assassin's Creed 3 so low is because some of the storyline mechanics, not the storyline itself, but the mechanics, don't really make sense, and this game contradicted the franchise. And basically the biggest thing, and this isn't the only reason, don't get me wrong, don't think I'm just going off this one reason. There's many instances of this in the game, but this is just the one that sticks out. When Connor's father, who's, God, I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on his name, but when Connor's father has a friendship hug with Connor's mother and things happen, that's where his father's memories are supposed to end. And the thing is, this isn't my fan theory. This has been proven in other games. Altair had a friendship hug with someone else, and the last thing we see is Altair jumping off the building, and we don't follow him. So that's the thing, is it's been established that when someone is conceived, their father or mother's memories stop. In this game, Connor was conceived, but we continued to play as his father for several more levels. And then even after Connor is born, we still play as the father. And that's the thing, is they didn't give an in-game story reason as to why that is. If we are going off the whole genetic code memory thing, it should have stopped at that moment, and now we follow Connor's mother around until Connor is born. And we didn't. And again, that's not the only reason. That's just one of those continuity things. And the problem is Assassin's Creed has done a phenomenal job of sticking to history. I even told my students as a history teacher, most of these Assassin's Creed games are historically accurate. So for a game that has prized itself, or a franchise that has prized itself on being so historically accurate and succinct, to have these glaringly obvious issues with their storylines or with their basic story mechanics, it got to me more than it probably should have, but it got to me nonetheless. And again, that's not the only reason. That's just the big thing that sticks out. So now for number 7, Valhalla. Valhalla could have been higher on my list. It almost fell into the Unity trap of the map was too big. I love open world games. They are hands down my favorite games of all time. Skyrim, Ghost of Tsushima, Horizon Zero Dawn. These are some of my favorite games. Even semi-open world games like Borderlands or Kingdom Hearts, where it's levels, but in that level, it's still 100% open world. Those are my absolute favorite games of all time. Valhalla was great, but sometimes there's such thing as a map that's too big, and Valhalla was that. Like, when I was going through Valhalla, I did eventually 100% it, but oh my god, there were some things in Valhalla where it's like, the grind was so annoying, and it just got to be so much. The storyline was phenomenal. The graphics and the world building was amazing, and just the feel and architecture of the game was phenomenal. But the reason it was so low is because it was just too big of a world. that was the biggest thing. I mean, again, a lot of it was great. The mechanics I didn't like. You had the option to change or turn off, which was great. And it was a good storyline altogether. And I love British history. Don't get me wrong. America, #1 in my mind. But Britain, Italy, Japan, I love the histories of some of these countries. And it was great to see the Viking era because that part of British history is one of my favorite time periods to study. King Alfred and Ethelred and all of them. That is one of my favorite time periods in history. So this hit right on it. There were a few of those glaring things that just made it to the point where it couldn't be higher on my list. Now for my number 6, almost top 5. My number 6 is Assassin's Creed 2. Again, this game, Assassin's Creed 1 and Altair made the Assassin's Creed series, it established it very well. Ezio and Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood and all that made Assassin's Creed legendary. Ezio is the reason Assassin's Creed became one of the more famous franchises in history. You will never convince me otherwise. That man is the greatest assassin of them all, and he is without a doubt one of the greatest characters in video game history. Ezio made Assassin's Creed. And Assassin's Creed 2 is phenomenal. And number 5 is, guess what? Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Another Ezio game. Ezio is Assassin's Creed. I mean, he is the most known. He is the most liked. He's the most famous. He is Assassin's Creed. The only reason that these games aren't higher is because, again, I took this into account, but again, there are some glaring issues with the mechanics, the way it's played, things like that. But these games are still phenomenal games, and I will love them until the day I die, and Ezio will stay my favorite assassin until I die. So now, my top 4. My number 4 is Shadows. And I put a lot of thought into this because I wanted to make sure it wasn't just the fact that the game came out just a few months ago that made it higher on the list. I really thought about this. And I loved this game. Naue, the female, the actual assassin or the actual ninja, I loved playing as her because they finally brought back... See, the problem with Assassin's Creed over the last couple games is they weren't really assassin games. Assassin's Creed Origins kind of started pushing us away from the actual assassin side a little bit. It still had the assassin aspects. Odyssey threw assassins out the door. Like assassins didn't even exist anymore in Odyssey. And I don't mean from a storyline perspective. I mean the sneaking and one shot with your assassin's blade and that kind of stuff. Odyssey just threw it out the window. Valhalla really didn't bring it back too much. Valhalla was still not really assassins anymore. It was more just Creed. And then Shadows, and then Mirage just kind of went up in flames. But then Shadows brought it back. And the thing I like about Shadows is, again, it breaks the whole mechanic of, the genetic memory and code and all that. And there's a reason for it in game. I won't super spoil it because it is still a newer game. But the thing is, you have Yasuke and Naue. Yasuke is the black samurai. Naue is the ninja or the assassin. Well, Naue, I'm sure I'm pronouncing her name wrong. Her entire gameplay is assassin. You sneak around, you hide, you one-shot assassinate, all that stuff. And that's what I like. But then you also have Yasuke, so if you do like the more charge through the front door, slice someone with your blade mechanic that Odyssey introduced, you have that option. And that's the thing I really liked about this game is I don't play as Yasuke much because in the Assassin's Creed games, I like the sneaking and the hiding and the planning out my moves. But it was fun every once in a while to go charging through the front door and just kill everyone in sight as Yasuke. And it gives you that option. And the other thing I like about this game is, too, this is the first mainline character. Again, Assassin's Creed is one of the most historically accurate video games or media franchises in history. I'm telling you, go look it up. But the main characters have always been made up or fake or exaggerated. Yasuke is the first one in Assassin's Creed history to be truly based off a real person. And I really like that concept and that idea, and it really brings it home. Because, again, there actually was a black samurai named Yasuke during this time period. Go look him up. So that's also what I like, too. Now, my top 3, I know I was kind of dogging on these games, but they're still great. So my number 3 is Origins. I fell out of the Assassin's Creed games for a while, like after Unity and then Rogue and Syndicate. Again, I still played them, but I was kind of like, Assassin's Creed, cool, it's just another one of those games. I was more into like Call of Duty and Halo at that time of my life. And then Origins came out, and I like Ancient Egypt. It's a fun time period to learn about. And I'm like, you know what, I'll pick it up and see. Everything that Unity and all those did wrong, Origins did right. This game was phenomenal. The gameplay was great. The mechanics were great. The weapon system was great. Assassin's Creed or Ubisoft, they truly got it right with this game. This game was so fun, and most of the features that sucked in the previous couple games before this, they scrapped or fixed. And Origins was just a truly amazing game. I loved it. It was so fun. I still replay it just for the fun of it. And the world was so great. The graphics were great. The mechanics were great. I mean, there are very little things I can say bad about this game. Now, the reason it's not higher is because number 2 and number 1 are just phenomenal games. So my number 2, and honestly, this one could be my number 1. Like, there's days I go back and forth on it, whether it could be my number 1 or not, and that is Black Flag. The only thing that keeps this game from being my definitive number 1 is the mechanics when you're on land. When you're actually playing as Kenway. I'm not a big fan of some of the mechanics. They cleaned up some of them in the remaster, but there are still some things that, like basic gameplay mechanics and the way you fight and your swordsmanship and stuff, that bring this down. If they would have fixed those up in the remaster and made the mechanics for Kenway himself more like Odyssey or Origins, like the general mechanics, not the actual like gameplay, Black Flag would be my definitive number 1. The boat sequences are perfect. I cannot think of a single thing wrong to say about the boat sequence. 95% of the time when I play Black Flag, I spend most of that time in the boat. I get off to do the missions to progress the story. I rush through them as fast as I can, not even caring, and then I get myself right back onto the boat. I mean, this game, I have beaten this game forward and backwards. I have beaten the legendary ships. I have done everything you could do in this game. I've platinum trophied it twice, the original and the remaster. This game is phenomenal. And again, if they would have just fixed up the mechanics a bit, this game would be my favorite Assassin's Creed game. Heck, this would be one of my favorite games of all time if they would have fixed up some of those mechanics for Kenway himself. And Kenway is my second favorite assassin, only after Ezio. This guy's awesome. Now, my number 1, for those of you who are keeping track, you should already know, it's Odyssey. And the thing about Odyssey is, I always go back and forth on this. Some days I hate this game because it's not really an Assassin's game. I mean, again, I have maxed out stats on 2 of my armor sets. I literally did the research. I maxed out my Assassin and my bow and arrow or my hunter stats on 2 different armor sets. I literally did the research to max them out. So I physically cannot get my assassin or my hunter stats any higher, and I still can't one-shot kill more than basic enemies. Like, I'm sorry, but if I'm shooting you in the head with an arrow or I'm shoving a blade down your throat, that should kill you instantly. It should. But it's like, my hunter stats, with the greatest hunter stats that are feasibly allowed in this game, and again, I did the research, I still can't kill or headshot kill an enemy past a level 2 enemy or a second tier enemy. Anything above that, it takes 2, 3, sometimes 4 arrows. Even if I use abilities, I still can't kill most enemies with headshots. And that, to me, that's the thing that really gets me with this game. But it's like everything else about this game is amazing. Once you get past the mentality of this is not an Assassin's game, this is more of a Creed game, once you get past that mentality, this game is phenomenal. The boat sequences are almost as good as Black Flag. The world is beautiful. Oh my god. The intricacies and the detail they put into it. This is probably one of the more accurate recreations of a world for the real life of any of the Assassin's Creed games. Origins would probably become the second closest. But oh my god, this game is amazing. The storyline is great. The plot lines are great. I mean, and there's just enough to do in the open world that it feels full, but not like Valhalla where there's too much to do. Again, I know there's some mechanics that I harp on big time with this game, but Odyssey, I mean, honestly, Odyssey is one of my favorite video games of all time. This game is so great, and the DLCs, oh my god, they are so phenomenal. So, yeah. All right, everyone. So those are my Assassin's Creed games ranked. That's what I like and why I like it. So stay tuned for some others. I got another fun video coming out pretty soon where I rank my favorite media franchises.